How did you get that scar? I was 10 years old, in Girl Scouts, and I really wanted a jackknife. Mom got me one, and said, be careful, and if you're not careful and you cut yourself, don't come crying to me. So I'm outside whittling on a stick, and the knife slipped and sliced into my finger. Oh shit, mom's gonna kill me. I was scared to go inside the house, cause mom would know what happened. So I rinsed the cut with the garden hose and wrapped my sock around the finger till it stopped bleeding. Mom's been gone 35 years and I think of her whenever I notice that scar. Did she find out? I don't think so. She also never found out about my brother shooting a BB through his finger. He wasn't supposed to play with the BB gun in the house. Thought that he could stop the BB by covering the end of the barrel with his finger. BB shot through the meat of his fingertip. Don't tell mom, she'll take the gun away. My appendix ruptured, and the doctor claimed I was faking it for drugs. Only when my mom said she would burn down the clinic, the doctor sent us to the hospital along with a police escort to arrest her. Spoiler, I was under the knife and operated on within 15 minutes of arrival, barely surviving, and they had to make a 8-inch opening to flush out every piece of contaminant shit 5 times before they could close me up. My mom was not arrested, and the police officer told her how to file for disciplinary actions on the doctor. I like your mom. She's got Marxy. I've never heard the word Marxy. My middle school science teacher was doing a routine demonstration in which she heated up a jelly baby with a Bunsen burner. For whatever reason it went wrong. The jelly baby exploded and landed on my knee. Burnt a hole through my skirt and tights, and the scar is still there to this day. She was a bloody lovely woman and a fab teacher, and was really apologetic. She let me eat the rest of the bag of jelly babies to make up for it. Aha. It's not just my chemistry teacher who did that. He always called it the screaming jelly baby because of the noise it made. Yeah, same here. To this day I don't understand what we were supposed to learn from it. Brown recluse spider bite. I was 4, and my mom didn't notice it for days. Definitely could have died, but luckily got away with just a scar. Same thing happened to me, but I was 11. Went into anaphylactic shock, and I was high risk for kidney failure. Spiders are filthy sons of bitches, and I have massive scar on my upper arm now. When I was a kid I wanted to see if I could set off a .22 LR round by holding it with a wrench and hitting the rim with the shins out I could. Friend of mine tried putting one in a vise. That worked too. I'm glad I have you guys to learn second hand, third hand from. I was 11 and got mugged. The third guy sliced my face. There was so much blood they freaked and ran. You've got to be some coward to mug an 11-year-old. I think John Mulaney put it best when he imitated one such coward by saying, "Man, I need cash for drugs right now." Maybe that 8-year-old with a Goddamn Aladdin wallet that only has blank photo laminate pages in it will be able to help. A disgruntled Cocker Spaniel. An ambivalent greyhound. I was on my way to Arizona aboard a bus when I gouged the base of my ring finger on the metal frame on the back of the seat in front of me. It bled a little. Didn't get infected, but I doubt I'll ever lose this little reminder. I don't even know how to explain to you how disappointed I was that a dog was not actually involved in this at all. I was riding my bike in the city, and a car door from one of the parallel parked cars opened up in front of me. Broke glass, bike, and needed surgery on my collarbone. Now I can tell when it's about to rain because my metal plate begins to hurt. That's kinda cool, oh children. It shall rain soon. I feel it in my bones. Rain starts. Kids zoo and AAH. Burn the witch. The neighbor girl hit me in the head with a high heel shoe when I laughed at her for not being able to do a cartwheel. Shit hurt so bad and was fairly bloody, but at the end of the day only one of us could do a cartwheel, and that was me. Suck on that dollar. Yeah. Suck on that fish killer. Fish are friends, not food. Hodgkin's disease. They opened me up to biopsy various things. Scar runs from my breastbone to my pubic bone. Good grief. This must be from before laparoscopy. Partially because it was a teaching hospital. It was great having a lot of different doctors looking at my case and working the procedures, but the downfall was apparently the person practicing closing procedures. Tons of surgical staples. Scar is about ½ inch wide in some parts. This was ages ago, and I doubt they do the same surgery anywhere anymore. This guy at school would give friction burns to people by running his cast against their arm. I wanted to see how long I last. Fast forward 6 years. There's still a mark there. Safe to say I got a scar from stupidity. My friends rubbed erasers on the back of their hand and have scars there now. I was not dumb enough to do that, fortunately. My older brother did that to me when I was around 6 years old. He told me he could make my skin disappear. It did. When I was 4 or 5, I tried to chop a small piece of wood. As I placed it on the block, the axe slipped from my armpit and landed on my finger. Do you still have your finger? I do. It's fully functional. But I did lose a bit of flesh. There's a little pit at the first joint from the knuckle. The scar is pretty sick, though. I walked headfirst into a coffee table when I was a child. Now I have a scar between my eyebrows strangely. The habit of hitting my head on things has hardly gone away with age, actually, come to think of it. That might explain the habit. Are you my brother? Same thing happened to him when we were both young kids around 2 and 5 years old. I was in 3rd grade at my cousin's house playing kickball with pants that were too big for me, and I went to catch the ball and my pants started falling, and I fell on the street leaving a gash on my knee. But I'll have you know I only cried for 20 minutes. One time I did kind of the same thing, but on a skateboard and on my elbow. Went down a concrete drainage pipe sitting down, and the board tipped back and kept going for about 75 meters with my elbow grinding on the pipe. Say goodbye to most of my elbow skin. No scar though. First time I masturbated, I bit my lip so hard I have the mark for the rest of my life. You got the award for horniest way to hurt yourself. Now that's people who jack off with toothpaste. I was really ill. In the middle of the night I went to go toilet and got up too quick and was half awake walking to it. In the hallway I ended up fainting and hitting my head on the edge of a small cabinet. It made a deep cut across my left eyebrow in the shape of an arc which left a scar. I went into a concussion. Not long. And I have no memory of getting up or being in the hallway. I had to get stitches and it's permanent. Same thing for me, except I was at a doctor's office and hit my head on their bathroom sink. Passed out cause I had to fast for blood work. Got the blood work done. Then tried to use the restroom afterwards. 6 stitches and a bad story. Slipped on a non-slip mat. Slow clap. 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell off and broke his head. On the corner of the dresser. Splitting my forehead from eyebrow to hairline and causing my aunt to faint. Bonus. As she was a screamer. Okay. But I still have 94 monkeys to go. Took a window to the shoulder. I was an adventurer like you once. Until I took a window to the shoulder. Take my fake gold. I grew up before the do not try this at home disclaimer. Was it from a paper cut by chance? I was like 3 and hit my cheek on the table corner. Does anyone remember playing spoons? I do, from the fingernail scar on my hand. Was it extreme spoons or regular spoons? Cause that game can get intense. Extreme spoons. My cat. One time I was holding my cat and my friend jumped out of a door and shouted to scare me, not knowing I was holding my cat, and my cat freaked and made like a beyblade and let it rip with her sharp ass claws down my whole chest while trying to run. Stung like a bitch lol. Made like a beyblade and let it rip is the greatest thing I've read all day. I have a few, because I was a moronic child. I have a small vertical scar directly in the middle of my forehead. I was probably around 4 years old. I went to go say goodnight to my grandmother and decided to jump on the bed. I missed and hit the window. Broke open my head and needed emergency trip to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, I was holding my bloody towel against my head while jumping on the chairs. I have some discoloration in my right hand. Because when I was little my mom worked at a golf course in the cafe. She was closing up and had just turned off the deep fryer. I wanted French fries and realized the deep fryer is where they come from. Like a genius, I stuck my hand in the oil. Thank God she just turned it off, otherwise I would have lost a hand. On my left hand, I have a 1.5 inch scar. You can still see the holes from the stitches that I had. I was cleaning the excess plastic from a 3D printed project. It just got out of the acid bath, which is used to help get rid of the extra bits of plastic. I was shaving down larger bits that didn't get burnt off with an X-Acto knife. If you ever had acid on your hands, know it makes them very slippery. So my project slipped and I cut through my left hand. My daughter got her head hit by a ceiling fan when she was younger. She has a decent scar just back from her hairline. But just sharing, because of you saying you were jumping around at the hospital. She was the same. She was covered in blood because the cut bled like crazy. When we got to the hospital though, it had stopped bleeding and she was back to being a crazy little kid. Freaked the nurses out to see a 3 years old still covered in dried blood. But she was fine. Kids bounce back pretty fast. Used to work in a small pharmacy. My coworker was going to a party and asked if I could close up myself. Me being me, I agreed. I was locking some stuff away. We used to keep most of the strong stuff in just some lockers. We upgraded after this, and 4 junkies jumped me, sliced my throat, and took a bunch of drugs. Wasn't deep but it could have been lethal. I was in shock, but knew I needed to call for help, so I just went and pushed the alarm and called 112 911 in Europe. Luckily I got the help I needed and the thieves were found. Damn. Glad you're okay. Thank you. Ultimate rug burn. I was running down a slight carpeted slope and gravity got the better of me. I slid a few feet with almost all of my weight on my left elbow. Hurt like a Methodica. Try that but for 75 meters. In a concrete half pipe. On a skateboard. My childhood in a nutshell. Ooh, that's no fun. I'll take extreme rug burn over that any day. Though I will say yours is a reasonable way to hurt yourself, LMAO. I had to deal with the pain of responding to how did you hurt yourself with I slid down a carpeted ramp on my elbow. Fun times. When I was young, me and my friends used to wrestle for fun. Well, me and a neighbor kid were wrestling for fun. He lost, got pissed and stabbed me in the side with a Swiss Army knife. I was 14, had no phone and my parents were out of town. My grandpa taught me when I was 12 how to stitch a wound shut, so I had to self-stitch the wound shut. To this day my parents don't know. Dude, this kid's the ducking devil. Did he apologize or anything? Nope, took off right after I pulled the knife out of my side. Grandma was watching 2-year-old I am special, but maybe not so well because I slipped and fell on a classically not child safe 80s baby gate which sliced open flesh on my brow bone. It's totally cool though. A scarred eyebrow gives me mad pirate cred. Depends which one. Midline incision X5. Stoma scars X3. C-section X2. Copious boo-boos when I was a child. Tracheostomy scar X1. That's probably the worst one as it's visible. Happy to be alive though. Each scar tells a story, or 10. A ferret bit me when I was 2. Yes, it's still there over a decade later. No, I'm not ferret man or aware of ferret. You should convince it to let go. It's probably tired after a decade of holding on. I have a half moon shaped scar on my forehead. 27 stitches. An old TV. Think 1995 CRT 19. Fell onto my forehead. The corner of it straight to my skull. You might have a scar on your forehead because a TV fell onto you, but my brother has a scar on his forehead because he fell onto the TV. Hot glue gun from making a pasta bridge for a competition which my group ended up winning. Worth it. It was a terrible battle between me and a tin lid. Somehow left 2 scars on my left hand. I did this too once. It was a can of coffee with the tin lid and not the plastic. Like Folgers has. My shitty can opener shit out near the end. So I tried to finish peeling it open with a fork. Slipped. Sliced my thumb knuckle. Panicked. ran to my apartment maintenance man's office, where he had a first aid kit and got me all wrapped up for my work shift an hour later. Get ready for a long story. Folks, I have a scare about 6 inches above my left knee. How? I was in a hike. I got bitten by a bug, and the bite started to flare up. I decide to put heat and ice on it, and to squeeze out any pus. For a while, it started to go down, but this isn't the end. Oh no. For some reason, the bite became irritated and grew in size. I had a red circle around the bite. It was hot and hurt to the touch, and if it was flaring, it would hurt to walk. So my mom and I go to the doctor, and takes a look at my leg and says, "We need to cut it open." The doctor injects the bite with a numbing shot. I had almost passed out, because I saw the color change underneath the skin. And then the doctor grabbed his scalpel, and cut a little slit. Boom. He got a sample, and gave me a bandage, pills, and told me to hold off for a while, until it was done draining. Everything's good now. And turns out, it was just a bad case of MRSA. Edit. I'm getting a lot of comments about how MRSA is still bad and sometimes very harmful. I'm aware of that. I know I didn't clarify how scared I was, but I honestly thought I was going to die. I'm very overdramatic and I'm a dumb teenager. Not to mention GAD. Basically, I was relieved it was MRSA, and I got lucky and didn't suffer as much as others did. Still, the experience of getting my bite slit open was the most painful thing ever. I'm very sorry for offending anyone who had/have MRSA, and I hope you guys are resting easy. Just MRSA. Makes me wonder what other kinds of infections and illnesses you've had. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.